Karl Czerny was born on February 21, 1791 in Vienna, Austria. Vienna was a city full of music and famous musicians during that time. People like Ludwig van Beethoven and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart lived in Vienna, and they made the city known for its rich musical history. Karl Czerny, from a very young age, showed a strong love and talent for music. His family was also supportive of his musical gifts, and they encouraged him to practice and learn more. Czerny's father was a musician too, and he saw that Karl had a special talent for playing the piano. His father gave him piano lessons when Karl was just a child. Karl learned very quickly and started to play well by the time he was just a few years old. His talent didn't go unnoticed. People around him saw how good he was, and he became a student of famous musicians in Vienna, including some of the best teachers of his time. One of the most important teachers he had was the great composer Ludwig van Beethoven. Beethoven was a very strict teacher, but he also knew how to help Karl become a great musician. Karl was very lucky to study with Beethoven, and he learned many important things about music and playing the piano. Beethoven also encouraged Karl to compose his own music, and Karl took his advice. While Karl Czerny learned a lot from Beethoven, he also began to develop his own style and musical ideas. This combination of learning from the best and creating his own music helped Karl become famous in his own right. Karl Czerny did not only study music, but he also started to compose his own pieces. He wrote music for many different kinds of piano students, from beginners to advanced players. His music was different from some other composers of his time, because it was very helpful for people learning to play the piano. Karl Czerny understood that to become a great pianist, you needed to practice a lot, and he wrote music that would help students develop their skills step by step. His music was often not too difficult for beginners, but still challenging enough to help them improve. Some of Karl Czerny's most famous works are his method books. These books were filled with short piano pieces that students could practice to improve their technique. One of his most well-known books is called The School of Velocity. This book is full of exercises to help students improve their speed and finger strength. Another famous book by Czerny is The Art of Finger Dexterity, which helps students practice their finger movements. These pieces are still used by piano teachers and students around the world today. Karl Czerny's music was not just useful for practice. It was also beautiful to listen to, making it enjoyable for both the student and the teacher. In addition to composing music for students, Karl Czerny also wrote many pieces for public performances. He composed concertos, sonatas, and other works that he performed in concerts. Czerny played the piano in many cities across Europe, and his performances were always well received. While his music was very popular at the time, it was not as famous as the music of Beethoven or Mozart. However, his works were important, especially for those who were learning to play the piano. They found Czerny's music helpful because it was clear, structured, and focused on developing technical skill. Karl Czerny was not only a composer and performer but also an excellent teacher. He taught many students, and some of them became famous musicians as well. One of his most famous students was Franz Liszt, who went on to become one of the greatest pianists in history. Czerny was an inspiring teacher who believed in hard work. He taught his students that becoming a great pianist required dedication and practice every day. He understood the challenges of learning an instrument and made sure his students worked through them. Czerny was also known for his deep understanding of the piano. He wrote many books and essays about piano technique and the best ways to practice. His books were used by students and teachers not just in Vienna, but in many parts of the world. His approach to teaching focused on helping students develop good habits and strong technique from the beginning. He believed that starting with the right habits was key to becoming a good pianist. As Karl Czerny became older, he continued to compose music, perform, and teach. He never stopped working hard at his music. Even though Czerny was well known for his teaching and his music, he lived a quiet life. He did not seek fame in the same way that some of the other famous composers of his time did. Instead, he was content knowing that his work was helping students and pianists around the world. His passion for music and teaching kept him busy until the end of his life. Karl Czerny lived to be 66 years old, and he passed away on July 15, 1857. Even though he is no longer alive, his legacy lives on. Today, his music is still studied and performed by pianists, and his books are still used by teachers all over the world. His contributions to piano education are remembered and respected. His work as a teacher helped shape the way piano students learn to play, and his music continues to be an important part of piano training. Even though Czerny's music is not as famous as that of Beethoven or Mozart, it still plays a significant role in the world of music. He was not just a composer. He was a teacher who understood the importance of helping people learn and grow as musicians. His music was designed to help students develop their skills and become better pianists. Many of the pieces he wrote were meant to teach particular techniques, such as finger dexterity, speed, and accuracy. Czerny's music was also very focused on making sure students had the tools to play with expression and musicality. He knew that becoming a good pianist was not just about playing the right notes, but also about bringing the music to life. His pieces encouraged students to play with feeling and to develop a deep understanding of the music. Through his life and work, Karl Czerny left a lasting impact on the world of music. He was a musician who cared about teaching others and making sure that his music helped students improve. His dedication to the piano and to education made him one of the most important figures in the history of piano music. Today, pianists continue to study his work and learn from his methods. Karl Czerny's legacy will never be forgotten, and his music will continue to be a valuable tool for pianists for many years to come. Karl Czerny was a great teacher, composer, and pianist, and his contributions to music are still important today. His life shows the importance of hard work, dedication, and a love for learning. Even though he was not as famous as some other composers, his music helped many pianists become better musicians. His influence on piano teaching and learning is still felt around the world, and his music will always have a place in the hearts of piano students.